It's Lala. Today, day 3 in my series of What They Won't Tell You. I'm going to actually talk about the Black Holocaust. The reason why I call it the Black Holocaust is because we have the Chinese Exclusion Act. We have the Jews who went through a Holocaust with the Germans, and once the U.S. defeated them, then we became the most powerful country. And then you have the Indians, and then you have the Black Holocaust. Just to kind of throw it out there, though, you have to think about history accurately and correctly, especially American history. Europeans tried to assimilate every culture into being what they thought American was, which they actually stole from another country, which is why we speak a broken English. But let me not get excited because I know I talk really fast. Just think about when they tried to assimilate the Indians, and then when it was time to battle, when the Indians started to refuse, they come with guns, the Indians come with bow and arrows, and guess what? Who wins? Gun, knife, common sense. They tried to force religion on them, assimilate them to the culture, cut their hair off, which was their pride and glory, which was sad. Then you have the whole blonde hair, blue eyes issue, and we already know the story about the Jews. You can read Elie Wiesel. It's called Night, as far as the concentration camps go, and et cetera, with Hitler. Then we get to the Chinese Exclusion Act. Look that up. And the list goes on, which is why we needed the Civil Rights Movement to incorporate then the Constipation, which is what I call it because it's full of shizzles. But the Constitution, because our forefathers wrote it, but yet we weren't implementing it. So that's a whole nother day. So the Black Holocaust, I wrote a paper for Master Moore at Kent State University on it, and I'll always refer to slavery and the whole triangular shape when really it's a rectangular shape as far as blacks are concerned, or African Americans, or let's just say black for this series since everyone thinks we're an adjective. It's crazy because they gave us Arse clouts. Whenever they tight packed us, tight packing is when you have a 6 foot length with or height, or with a 3 foot width, and they put us there and they stacked us on top of each other. That's why if one had smallpox, it could transfer directly to the body underneath it, and then they would just throw them overboard. They did it so much they killed millions. They changed the eating pattern of the sharks. Till this day, the sharks actually travel the same path that the slave ships did, well, for America, looking for dark meat. And that's not even me trying to be funny. You can look that up as well. And what is it? Loose packing was when, you see the chains and they're just laying there. So those are the two differences. And whenever they tight packed us, which is very often because the more you get, the better, right? Well, what they did was they gave us arse clouts. What's an arse clout? If you're medical, you know what that is. If you're into agriculture, you know what that is. If you happen to love history, then you really know what it is. Basically, they thought of us as chattel, and what they did was they actually gave us an ass plug. And so we couldn't do anything on their boats. Remember, they were insured. That's another day. Know who your insurance company is, because these insurance companies that exist today in 2012 actually insured the chattel on ships. Blow your mind with that. So to continue, then you want to say in the books, oh, it's 3 months voyage. Lie. When they came in the middle of Africa, whether or not they came to Zaire, which is what it was back then, but Congo currently, or the Republic of Congo, it was longer. They had to walk to the coast. They had to actually walk all the way over there to Ghana. I'm Ghanaian, Indian, Irish, so. But they had to walk over there. That voyage itself took 3 months. Thank you. Once they got there, most people don't even know that we were sold twice. They put us in slave castles. They still exist over there. I can't wait to go. And what they did was they would make us sit there until the ships came from the other countries, Dutch, Spanish, Portuguese, Italians, Europeans, all of them. And then they would buy us for cowrie shells. Then we got on ships and we were sold again in the other countries. So for you guys who don't know, we were sold twice, not once. Some, all the way. We were sold multiple times during the process of, after Jamestown, Virginia. So that goes to tell you that was 3 months. If you had to wait for another 2 months in the slave castle, then guess what else happened? That's 5 months. Now the ship itself probably took about 3 to 4 months, depending on if there were issues, etc., etc. So with the whole American voyage, it's kind of crazy because what they did was they gave us Arse clouts. And we had Arse clouts probably for about 4 to 6 months. Why do I know this? Because I actually read a few ship captains' diaries. They are out there. And they talk about the things that they did on the boat, or that, the workers did on the boat, or the slaves, and etc. So during that whole entire voyage, imagine this, not being able to go to the bathroom, but you're peeing on top of one another if you're tight packed. If the person above you has smallpox, and guess what? They throw you all overseas. There you have that. But the most obscure thing that I think that they could have done to really dehumanize us and prove that we were actually just property to them was give us an Arse clout. Now, here's the kicker. You can't shit, right? Excuse my language, but right. So what happened was they had a shit tub. So once you got to America, before you got to America, you're actually seasoned off in the Caribbean. So that's why you got some people that got to stay, and you got the Haitians and Dominicans and et cetera, and the Spanish influence and all that other stuff another day. But once we got to America, we finally got to use the bathroom. They gave us a shit tub. Babies died in it. People had prolapses. A prolapse is when your small and large intestines come out through your butt. So once they took it out, when we had to finally go, everything just came out and we died, like right there in the shit tub. That happened a lot to millions, to be quite honest. But again, we're the minority in America, but you killed us all the way through the voyage. Just like they killed us when we were in the slave castles, after we were just sitting on concrete, pooping on ourselves. And if the child was not healthy enough to actually get on a boat, you had to listen to your child around the slave castle while you're inside, and he's crying, and he's 1 or 2 until he stops crying and you realize he's dead. I always say know your history. It means a lot to me. It doesn't mean I'm racist or any of that other stuff. I just think that the schools don't tell the children what they really need to know. I mean, my daughter, she will know everything. She won't know in depth until she gets older, but all my children will know. That's how you have a strong black family that acknowledges that they're human beings and that everything else is irrelevant. So in saying that, I just wanted to give you guys like a little brief thing on the Black Holocaust. And yeah, this is a pretty long video, but it's actually really interesting. And I think that society needs to know there was a Black Holocaust. More of us died than any other race. That doesn't make us better than anyone, but we were so dehumanized. My third great grandfather, he's Irish. And his name, he was a school teacher. And my third great grandmother was Ghanaian and Indian, and her name was Susie B. Walker. I have a picture that I'll show you, as a matter of fact. And I say all that to say because I have the original picture from my grandfather, and it has him and her together, like married. Like I look just like him. It's crazy. And I know my history and my story, some of it, as far as they were concerned, because of my grandfather. And it's very important to me because that's what they went through. And I need to know that. I need to understand what happened. And to know that there was a Black Holocaust, and it's not even about getting reparations, but they can give every other race whose whole entire Holocaust wasn't even that big of an ordeal as far as the millions that died, but was very important and meant so much in history, but you can report that correctly. But when it comes to blacks, you give us just a month. The shortest month of the year. It baffles me. Stay tuned. See you tomorrow.